Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Mr. Kasparov is here and he's ready to answer your questions. And the press conference today will be led by Dirk-Jan ten Geusendam, our friend. So please, Dirk-Jan.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Almost needless to introduce the person who's sitting next to me, Garry Kasparov. It's a privilege for any tournament to have Garry visit, and I think it's a particular pleasure to have him here, because here he wrote chess history in 1999, 2000, 2001. Garry is the only one who won the Tata Steel chess tournament 3 times in a row, and did so pretty convincingly, we can say. Especially the first one was spectacular and historical, and he embellished that achievement with playing, well, probably the best game from his career. Ever since Garry came in here yesterday, we saw that this was nostalgia. I mean, this was walking down memory lane, Garry. And so we can talk about anything today, and any questions are welcome. You can ask them in English, you can also ask them in Dutch, and I will translate them. Garry will obviously only answer in English. And
you can also ask me in Russian.
You can ask him.
And I will translate it in English.
Then it might take a bit long, but let's see. In any case, I'll kick off with one general question, Garry. Well, it's no secret that you're going to run for president of FIDE. What made you decide to take that step? Because it involves an awful lot of work, traveling, time, energy. Why did you do it?
It's quite a long story, because the decisions of that magnitude you do not make just overnight. So it's a similar magnitude of the decision that I made to stop my professional chess career. And again, it took a long time and just long consideration, evaluating different factors. Throughout my professional career, I have been always trying to change things in the world of chess for better. I had a lot of ideas. I think many of them were very good, some of them probably were not as good, but I had a genuine desire to change things, because I felt, and I'm feeling now, that over years and even decades we have been missing great opportunities to bring chess to the mainstream of the public attention, and to get to the corporate sponsors, and just to bring chess to the level where our game deserves to be. There were a number of different attempts, but eventually I came to the conclusion that the real change can happen only if I work with FIDE and within FIDE. 4 years ago, I decided to help Anatoly Karpov in his attempt to change things. We joined forces, and after this attempt failed, so I analyzed the game. I followed my traditional routine and came to the conclusion that things still could be done, but this time I had to do it more on my own. And I've been working quite hard in the last few years, building the network around the world, and making sure that this challenge will be well funded at every level. And I feel that now it's a historic moment, because it's not just one elections that could change the management of FIDE or keep the same management. I think now we have to decide for our future. I see a lot of great opportunities for the game of chess now, especially with new technologies, with the concept of chess in education that is now well spread around the world, with social networks gaining ground at every minute. So, and chess perfectly fits these new realities of the modern world. And I have no doubt that with the new administration that I will lead in FIDE, we can change things in the game of chess for better and forever.
Yeah. Well, you said that the previous campaign where you supported Karpov failed for lack of preparation. We know that immediately after that, those elections, you started to work on this, right?
Not immediately, yes. Well, okay. It took time to analyze the results. So just I followed Botvinnik's routine. So that's to recognize, why it didn't go well and what was wrong. But actually, it was quite easy to identify that campaign 2010 was short-lived. So it was very much based on the hope that Anatoly Karpov could get support of the Russian Chess Federation because elections took place in Russia. So when this support was not received, and to the contrary, the Russian Chess Federation vehemently supported the incumbent, I don't think we had much of a chance because some journalists probably remember what's happened in the Holland Hunter-Mansijsk. So we're just a part of other irregularities, you know. Even microphones have been cut. So naturally, elections in Tromsø would be carried in a very different atmosphere.
Yeah. Now I remember those microphones being shut off. This is not going to happen here. And I would like to invite you to ask questions. Anyone who has questions, please introduce yourself, which newspaper or which medium you're reporting for. And then Gary will be happy to answer those questions. Anyone?
Sounds threatening.
Thomas Richter, German Schachticker. I have a question about your election program. You propose one universal rating system for everything from World Championship matches to online blitz. I wonder about the implications. For example, if someone falls a few rating points short of qualifying for the candidates event, could you compensate for that playing blitz on the internet all night long?
Look, naturally, such grandiose plan will require a lot of preparation, and it cannot happen overnight. And there's still, many nuances to be fixed. So definitely, you're talking about extreme situation because if we win and we implement the plan, online blitz will be the last segment of this proposition. I think the first and utmost importance is to make sure that every professional game which is played on board, including rapid chess and blitz, should be included in the same system. Since I find it absolutely ridiculous that the game which decides the World Championship match, and technically blitz can decide, and rapid already decided twice. These games simply do not exist in the rating system. There's no reflection. So if you look at the rating system, you'll not find how Kramnik beat Topalov and how Anand beat Gelfand, because these games are not rated. So in my view, we have to make sure that every game, as a first step, played on board is included, of course with a different ratio. But that's something that, again, for mathematical calculation, probably roughly the rapid could be something like 0.3 or 0.35 of full point, and blitz could go probably 0.5. So, but again, this is for very precise calculations, and then we should consider, including online chess, naturally with a lot of restrictions. Yeah, but again, ideally, we need to make sure that every game that is played on the planet is included because that this is the way to create a chess family. So this is the way to bring millions of people who are playing. We know, as we speak, hundreds of thousands of people are playing chess, from different parts of this planet. And by not having a system that brings them together, we're missing a phenomenal opportunity to make chess a commercially attractive sport. Because while Facebook may have 1 billion names, no one has a properly constituted database with millions of real names registered. This is what does exist in the world of chess. If FIDE is capable of bringing it together, then I think we have a great opportunity of attracting corporate sponsors because we'll have a major asset in our hands. And I think it will also bring benefits not only to FIDE as the main body in the world of chess, but also to every national federation. What is needed is just to make sure that we can start bringing people together, and federations will become much stronger because they will be rallying support not from thousands or tens of thousands of people, but from hundreds, thousands and millions. And again, the universal rating system is the most comprehensive reform that I'm suggesting. And we will not, and this is also part of the program, we will not take any step without full consultation with national federations and all parties engaged, because I believe that the way to run FIDE and to run the world of chess is to make sure that the advice and recommendations they come from bottom to the top and not the other way around.
So in fact you imply that this is an ambition and how it has to be fulfilled is something entirely different.
Yes, I think that as for rapid and blitz, it's almost elementary because with this computing power we have today, just to calculate every game is just it's not taking much of a time or efforts. Basically, you have to make sure that the games are entering. So that's why I think the first stage may happen quite fast, and again, it will be in full cooperation with national federations, because we know that some of them have their own rating systems, and some of them may see it as a potential danger for their income. Naturally, we will be negotiating and making sure that they will fully compensate for the potential losses. Again, we're not going to do anything that will hurt national federations, because that's one of the major problems with current FIDE. FIDE has been built in 1924, 90 years ago, as the sort of the body to help federations to work together, like confederation. Since then, FIDE has been transformed in a vertical system where the head office is just dictating federations what to do. And I think we should have to go back to the original roots. So the way to run FIDE is to make it horizontal, not vertical, which means that you have to look for very creative means of bringing together different federations from regions based on their cultural, language, and whatever, elements that bring them together. And I think that making sure that FIDE will execute the will of the majority of the federations and will work, in very close cooperation with each of them. I think that's a top priority. And again, we understand that this election will be very bitter elections, and there will be a lot of fights and bad blood. But after the next minute, after I win the elections, I'll be happy to work with any federation that is having good ideas and is willing to contribute to the new vision of the world of chess. So I think that will be my duty. And again, in the future world of chess will not be built upon loyalty, but upon the quality and professionalism.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mark, the Dutch newspaper. In that way, how important is the world title of Magnus Carlsen for you?
I think that having the world champion who is so popular with the press and so friendly with the media, I think it's a dream of any FIDE president. And of course, if president knows how to use it and has capacity of promoting the game in the places where Magnus Carlsen is popular. We saw his first tour was in Silicon Valley, where he met with all key people, or captains of the industry. So naturally, it offers great opportunities, and I'm thrilled that Magnus is a world champion now, and it's not just due to personal relations. It's a very professional evaluation. So if I win the elections, I couldn't have dreamed of a better world champion to help me to promote the game.
Thank you.
Hans Klippers, Algemeen Dagblad, Nederland. How do you see your chances to be the new president?
I think my chances are improving every day. Yeah. So I've been working a lot, and just started, as I already mentioned, quite some time ago. I've been working with the plan of creating my team and starting the campaign for almost a year. Look, we have a team. It's a very strong team. We have a program. We have a good backing, both political and financial backing. So the opposite side, by the way, is yet to present a ticket, a plan. I still don't hear any reason that why Mr. Ilmzhinov is planning to stay in the office for another 4 years. So he had 19 years to accomplish whatever he wanted to accomplish, and it seems that definitely, if we're not going to discuss the whole 9 years, definitely the last 4 years after his big promise in Khanty-Mansiysk were failure, and that's what I hear all over the world. So I will be very interested to hear the arguments. Not just the same tune, the same music that we will do this and that and we'll do it next day. So we would like to see what is really proposed to make sure that the game of chess could be elevated to a new level.
Well, in addition to this, Gary, I might ask you. You're in touch with lots of federations. You're traveling all over the globe. Still, when I speak to players, I often realize that there's some cynicism. They say, well, whatever he's doing, it's going to be the same like last time again. How are you going to explain to the players that things are different this time? I mean, are you going to make a
Do I
special
have to explain to the players?
Um,
I understand that I have the election with 176 votes, and the players do not vote. This is something I learned from Mr. Ilmazhinov, and actually from Campomanes. So I'm dealing with those who vote.
okay.
Yeah, and it's very, and unfortunately, this is very unfortunate, let me emphasize it. Most of the players you are talking to, they are Europeans. They don't know what's happening outside of Europe. There's very little idea of what's happening in Africa or in Asia or in Latin America. So I visited more African countries, during the last 2 years than Ilmazhinov for 19 years.
Yeah.
And from here tomorrow, I'm flying to Africa. I have my next African tour. I'm visiting Senegal, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania, DRC, Angola, and South Africa. That's I have quite a lot of experience on the ground, especially from Africa and Asia, and I could hear this this cry for change. And in some places, people do not have any animosity toward FIDE administration, especially in Asia. They had very good working relations over these years, but it's time to change. They see great opportunities ahead of them, and they recognize that with this current leadership of FIDE, they will never have a chance to enjoy these new opportunities and to make sure that their federations will benefit. As for Africa, there were many promises made over years. Nothing happened. Well, Kasparov Chess Foundation in Africa, that was opened just 2 years ago, did more for chess. We raised more money for African continent FIDE for 19 years of Ilmazhinov's rule. So people look at this and they just recognize it's real. So we already have support of major federations like South Africa, where we recently won the elections. And let me emphasize, first time in his life, Mr. Ilmazhinov went down south to campaign for incumbent, and they lost. I think that's a message. He was there in December and campaigning for the current, at that time, the president of the federation. And in January, we won these elections. We have support of Nigeria, we have support of Kenya. So we definitely have a lot of support that we did not have 4 years ago. And that's a huge difference. Because this, we are demonstrating that this elections is not just about top professional players, not about few European federations. The support for my campaign comes from the places where people want to change things. People want to promote the game of chess, and I'm very comfortable with this support growing both in Asia and Africa. And of course, I still count on European support because there's a lot of things that can be done here in Europe. But the European players and federations should recognize that there are 176 votes around the globe right now currently. Actually, 180 federations, but 176 will vote. So just to make sure, not to think that I'm not counting correctly. Yes, the 180 members, but there will be 176 votes cast in Tromsø.
Yeah, and you believe that the trust of the players will come automatically?
No, it's not automatic. Again, I think this what's happening with many players and also with many European federations. They just don't believe change can happen because they have very little experience of the outside world. And again, I know that some of the European federations, they are skeptical because they're tired to be on the losing side. So it's very important to show to them that support comes from other quarters, and soon they will recognize that this time is very different.
Okay.
When Wessel Kok lost in 2006 against Ilmazhinov, he said that it was impossible to win the elections with fair play. Do you agree?
No, I'm not so sure that I got exact this the point, because it's fair play offers you fair chances. So this is definitely what's happened in 2006, and in less but still pretty bad in 2010 was nothing but fair play. Between 2010 and 2014, there were a number of negotiations and also an important court case in CAS, in the Olympic Court in Lausanne, that actually helped us to fix the rules. The elections in 2014, if you look at the procedure, will be very different from both 2006 and 2010. That's one of the lessons we learned. For instance, the most important thing approved by FIDE Congress in Tallinn after the recommendation of Olympic Court Lausanne and long negotiations between my lawyers and FIDE management, ended up with a very, very strict rules for the voting procedures. There will be list of delegates approved 2 weeks before the elections, and only delegates can cast the vote. So, which is, if you are, of course, you know that one of the greatest challenges for anybody who was against FIDE team was to deal with this last-minute calls from nowhere, saying, "Oh, we give proxy to this man, and then proxy goes there." So it was a last-minute proxy exchange, and FIDE had a huge advantage because they had all telephone numbers, all details, and they could definitely gain dozens of votes at the last minute. So right now we are in a different situation. There's an election committee that will have to approve all the names of the delegates that will be eligible to vote, and that will happen 2 weeks before the elections. No proxies can be circulated outside of these 176 names, which is, again, still room for wrongdoings. But now it's much more difficult to utilize the typical advantage for FIDE. Also, we are now have much better contacts with federations. We are looking for different federations to the elections, so we are very much engaged on the ground. So I'm not telling you that we can change everything we want, but this is not like 2006 and 2010 when many federations we didn't even know the name of the person. So I would say that probably by the time of the elections I will know many people who vote by first name. So it's a brand new game, and it's as fair as possible. And also, let's not forget, this election will be held in Tromsø, in Norway, and the organizers they already made it very clear, they will guarantee and it's level conditions for both sides, and I think we can trust Norwegians that they will do it. Also, Norwegian government did something very important. I'm really grateful for this decision, which also eliminates one of the strong cards held by FIDE, especially in 2010 elections. It's so-called free tickets for federations in exchange for other favors. The Norwegian government allocated 600,000 euros, and I want you to actually write it down, because FIDE has been spreading the rumors that they will cover the tickets. This is, of course, lie, because everything will be covered by the Norwegian government. 600,000 euros has been allocated to pay for the tickets for federations who cannot afford to travel to Norway. So which again changes the game quite dramatically, because this time, FIDE will not be in the position to offer free tickets. Though, as I said, in many places we got the messages that FIDE is trying to pretend that they are buying the tickets, knowing exactly that the government of Norway has already decided to do that.
That sounds like a big improvement.
Look, again, we're getting as close to fair play as possible. So again, elections still elections, but what's happened in 2006 and 2010 gave us a pretty good idea how unfair could be the game. And we know a lot of tricks that have been used, and at the best of our ability, we eliminated most of them. And I think we will be running a pretty square campaign in Tromsø, and I expect that it will offer us quite a dramatic advantage, because the opposite side is not used to play with equal number of pieces.
Yes.
Again, sort of just following the question about fair play. As you know, FIDE published your project.
FIDE?
I don't know who.
Okay, let's use it. FIDE. Okay,
Sorry.
I agree with you, but that's not. I wish you have a proof.
We must pretend that I didn't say this.
Mm-hmm. You said it. I didn't.
Somebody published the project of your contract with Lyon, and yesterday it was published on your website, only the final version. So how could you comment on this situation?
First of all, I have to point at the fact that the call for transparency and honesty came from anonymous source and using stolen document. That's very much the style.
So but maybe we should explain for some of the other journalists that this was the draft of,
yes.
of an agreement between you and Lyon, who is your Asian
yes.
team
It's
member.
the